Counting the
cost of working as a fitness coach.
wow. So, what is your schedule, weekly, daily schedule like as a fitness coach?
So daily I wake up between 5 to 6 a.m., typically just depending on when my first client is. A lot of times in the early morning hours, I'll have my own prayer, little devotional time, just a time to kind of get my mind ready for the day. Um, from there, typically I'll eat some sort of breakfast before heading out, usually something pretty light. And I'm headed out to meet my first group as early as 6:45 a.m. And from there, I have a group of four people I typically meet at that point. We start our fitness coaching. And throughout the day, I'll have anywhere from 8 to 12 appointments, some in person, some online, some of them one on one, some of them very small groups. I typically don't have a client any later than 5 p.m. And so, have that last client, wind down my day, either go home and eat dinner, get ready for the next day, or sometimes I'll do something fun. It just depends on the day. Sometimes I'll grab something to eat while I'm out. But for the most part, starting at about 6 a.m., ending at about 5 p.m. as far as coaching is concerned.
Oh, you said uh, about 10 people that you're personally coaching. What does that involve?
So as far as numbers of people that I'm interacting with on some level of coaching, there's going to be more than 10. It's just that I'll have anywhere between 8 to 12 appointments. Some of those appointments will have up to 4 or 5 people in the actual appointment when I have my small groups.
Oh, I see.
But yeah, but ultimately what it entails is kind of depends on the phase that I'm at, when it comes to training people. And what I mean by that is, are we just starting like our first or second or third session, or is it somebody I've been training along for a while? But it involves showing up, bringing good energy, bringing some enthusiasm, some motivation, and a plan really for them that's helping them to progress and move forward towards their fitness goals. So that's going to involve getting them warmed up. That's going to involve asking them questions about how do you feel, how the last workout made you feel, how's your nutrition going along. And then I start them in their warm up. We get into a workout, and we draw it to a close, and we set up our next appointment to meet for the next time.
Wow. So, is it usually once a week or like twice a week or like 3 times a week, something like that?
So the group, and sometimes it's a single person, but up to 4 times in a week. But that's the rare. So let's see, is there anybody I only meet once a week? I don't think there's anybody that I currently meet only once a week. Everybody's either from 2 to 4 times a week.
Okay.
Yes.
So,
So, like, one of the things you got to understand is, like, in this line of work, is people are not only hiring me to help them do fitness, but they're also hiring me for accountability. You see what I'm saying? And so,
yeah.
yeah, accountability. And so it can be very challenging if somebody's only meeting me once a week.
Yeah.
It's tough. It's tough for them to actually stay on task and stay on their goal. So
Okay.
they bring somebody like me into their life who actually is helping them to be accountable to
Yeah.
themselves and to their own goals.
Wow.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're getting involved in not only in physical exercise, but also their like dietary habits and everything, like lifestyle choices. How much actually can you involved?
Pretty heavily involved, actually. I'm asking, it's like, what did you eat yesterday specifically? And and what time did you start eating? And when did you eat your last meal?
Wow.
So yeah, it's getting in there, and so you're absolutely right. People are not only bringing me for just the fitness, but it's really a lifestyle that they're looking to change or keep them accountable towards.
Wow. So, is there any goal, or is there any like set like formula where you're looking at in terms of like what do they eat, how much they eat, and things like that?
There definitely are set formulas. I have yet to go on the route of being a complete nutritionist, but what I found is that most people they kind of know what to do and they even know what works for them. It's just doing it
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that most people find to be the challenge. Like people know, yes, I should eat less. They know I should eat more fruits and vegetables. They know I should eat less carbs. They know these things. It's really following through and actually doing them. So my first recommendation to people is always is actually tracking what time are you eating your first meal, what time are you eating your second meal, and then once we have the times established, then it's what's actually going into your plate. What are you actually ingesting? At least start to write it out, type it out, put it in your smartphone, figure it out, figure out how many calories are in there, figure out how much protein, fats, and carbohydrates are actually in it, and then consider what is the nutritional source that I'm taking in. Is it a natural nutritional source or is it an unnatural processed man-made nutritional source? And then we got to start making moves and making shifts towards moving into greater health.
I see.
But once again, like if somebody puts down Starbucks coffee three times a day, they already know. They already know. It's too there's too much sugar, there's too much fat. They already know. It's just they've got to have somebody to help them make the changes.
Ah, okay. So they already know what to do, but you're there to motivate them, continue to keep them accountable.
Correct. And then the person who maybe they need help on specifics, then I start to say the specifics, like, obviously instead of the coffee, if you have to drink coffee, be sure that it's a black coffee. No sugar, not a dessert, just drink the straight coffee, for example. Or let's say, they're like, well, I have a protein snack every day. So I help them, instead of having a protein snack, let's actually have a real source of protein and carbohydrates, depending on if you're vegetarian or you eat meat. Let's have a real food source. Let's figure out a real food source that you enjoy. If it's hummus, for protein, for example, or, if you happen to eat chicken, whatever it is, let's get real food into your body because your body's going to do better at assimilating that and using it for energy and using it to build muscle than the processed foods will. So I will help them to actually identify particular foods and substitutions as well.
Because many vegetarians, even though they say they're healthy, I'm a vegan, but I feel like even a lot of like powder things they consume like to work out and to grow their muscles don't seem to be healthy. What approach do you take as a coach?
I take the approach of eliminating those mostly, just because I've done my own research into the fact that it's processed and the fact of the way your body actually metabolizes them, the toxic effects they have on your body long term. And what I have to help people understand is it's not just meeting a calorie mark, although that's key because the energy we take in, we have to expel and exert that energy. However, it's not just that. It's your body processing the food to have the energy for the next workout, as well as the muscle building towards the next workout. So if we're taking in sources of food that are not optimal, and that's what's key, the word optimal for performance, then we're ultimately working against ourselves. Now, if somebody says, "Hey, I'm doing the bodybuilding, and for 2 months, I just want to take in some extra protein to help me get the goal," sure, for 2 months, use that to help you build muscle. But in the long term, and that's what I'm into, long-term results and lifestyle change, it's not going to be the best for your kidneys. It's not going to be the best for your body and actually processing processed foods.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because my friend said, I mean, he's really big and he's very strong and he works out all the time. And said, yeah, I'm eating like 6 eggs and I'm eating like tons of like chicken breast and all these things to build my muscle. And in my mind, liver must be so tired processing all that.
I would agree. Yeah. Personally, I would agree. I know that you can get the results, and that's what's kind of tricky on that one is because they're like, but hey, look at me. I'm bigger. I'm stronger. It worked. Okay. It worked to build muscle, but what cost to your body in the long term, which you may not see as clearly when you're 20, 25, as 30, but you begin to feel and experience effects more so at 35, 40, 45, 50. So
So I guess you can say bodybuilders may not necessarily have the optimal health because of how they're evaluated?
That would be my own personal assessment, yes. And you're talking about a person who I spent, years with that type of route, with that type of mindset. And, it worked. It worked in my 20, 25, 30. But it depends on what you mean by worked. It worked for me to get my biceps bigger. It worked for me to get my pecs bigger or whatever. But, as far as lethargy, as far as long-term, benefits towards my health, um, it's just not the choice that I wanted to continue to make for the long run, because you go back and you start to study the effects that plants, for example, have in actually building up our immune system, restoring precious vitamins and minerals. It's like, well, I need actually more of that for the long term function and ability. Yeah. So
I mean, when I looked at you more than 10 years ago, I just recognized that you looked so fit and so healthy or so big, and I saw you in the Facebook doing a fitness coach, and wow, you already look like a fitness coach, and then that's your job now. So, and
yeah,
when you look at the like advertisements for the fitness centers, I see
yeah,
bodybuilder looking people say, yeah, I won this contest, this contest, this contest, and they have all these pictures, and to me, I don't even know how many people would actually identify that kind of looking bodies as something healthy or attractive, because to me it didn't look natural. So is it possible for you to win that contest and also stay optimally healthy at the same time?
no, no. I've worked with them, and you're talking about cutting your body fat percentage down to 2, 3, 4%, and that's not the best. That will help you to win a competition, but that's not the best as far as our survival as species. Really, I mean, the science says that essentially when your body fat percentage is too low. Now, I do have to say that there are some people. My son and I, we were just talking about an athlete who naturally walks around at 2, 3, 4%, performing as a running back in the National Football League. But I guarantee that he is not spending hours doing bodybuilding. He is just a genetic freak who was born with naturally higher percentage of muscle mass. But what we're talking about is when you almost when you like cut calories, and you only eat protein and fat and so on. It's like you're talking about a way that's very unnatural for that person. Because I'm talking about people I know that go from 20% body fat to then dropping down to 2 to 3% within a matter of months when it's time to compete. And that's just, I don't see that as being great on your health. No.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So
But once again, I think you kind of brought out the point, if you don't mind, is that
yeah.
I always say that it goes back to what is a person's goals? What outcome are you looking for? If you're looking to compete in the competition, to compete, you will have to look a certain way. You will have to do certain things to your body to compete at that level. But like you, I have also found that it's a very small percentage of people that actually identify with that. And so for me personally, I decided to go towards the route of lifestyle change that somebody can maintain and enact into their life for the long run, so they're 80, 90, as well as bringing exercises into their life that are going to help them to do everyday function better, whether that's working in the garden, whether that's a life of doing construction, whether it's playing with your grandchildren, going on a hike. Most people are struggling with shoulder ailments, knee ailments, hip ailments. That's more so the path that I decided to go down.
Oh, that sounds like a beautiful transformation you can possibly make as a fitness coach. So, what
Yeah.
made you be interested in pursuing this job?
Oh man, that's a great question. I think like many people, as sometimes when as time in life goes on, you start to identify more clearly what are your actual interests, what are you gifted in, what have you dedicated a lot of time to. And I spent many years in actual full-time ministry, like recruiting young people to do evangelism, doing evangelism, doing Bible studies, and that was a great part of my life. But what I wanted to see was how could I combine that part of my life with something that I was also passionate with and was practicing in a way that I felt I could work with people practically. Because in reality is, not everybody you're going to show up at their door and they want to do a Bible study, but just about everybody wants to get their health and fitness together.
That's true.
And so this seed kind of began to be planted in my mind. And as it came time for me to split up from working with a church full time, I decided to just go full blast with my gifts and experience and apply my business experience and ministry experience and working with people with something that I was very passionate about. And it was very truthful to my core because I had been living it for so long. I'm 40, I'll go on 43 now. And since I was 14, and I've been basically in fitness, doing fitness as a major part of my life in a way where I've actually transformed my body physically and so on and so forth. And so it's like, I want to take this, I'm going to get the education behind it, certifications behind it, work with some of the best people, that I could find here in the United States to work with personally and bring this service. So ultimately, I would say passion and a desire for greater independence to kind of create my own entrepreneurial sort of way.
Wow, that sounds like a great preparation, great um, thing that you're doing since you must be loving every moment of it. When my father passed away from cancer when I was a high school student, I just like
Sorry to hear that.
began to make all these radically healthy choices, and people don't understand me because too many people I look very extreme. So and then that's how I look at it. Like I know what goes into your body, what goes into your mind, what goes uh, whatever input that you take for
Yes.
your mental and physical health and spiritual health is gonna create a certain result. So
Correct.
that's how I
Yes.
see things. I see the cause and effect. So
Yes.
was there any turning point in your life when you became more like health conscious at the age of 14 or something?
You know, Not 14, no. No, definitely not at 14. No, I would say for me, my major shift as far as being more health conscious happened more about the age of 32, 33, 35, somewhere in there.
Okay.
At 14, to be honest, like, I think I was 4'10", 4'11", maybe. I maybe weighed 120, 130 pounds. I don't know. I was a pretty small dude.
Okay.
And I was actually playing football, and I wanted to get bigger, stronger, faster, all those things. I think just a young man growing up, it's like, okay, what is a way that I could actually go to work on myself to be bigger, stronger, faster, compete, as well as I'm the type of person I've always had an affinity for things that are like physical and athletic. So it wasn't hard for me. It was like something I was drawn to be physical, to use my body, to exercise. So there's just this natural connection that sort of happened for me at that time. Just started picking up the weights.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've been hearing all my life you're skinny, all these things, and so would you say you became like more fit, and were you like did you used to be skinny or?
Not, I've always been athletic. Like you look at me and say, oh, he's got a cut. I've got cuts. I got little muscle. But as far as, and I can't even say it was all completely healthy. What I mean by that is, when you come up in life, sometimes you are also battling with your own self-image and your own confidence, and where you're going to fit in this world, and so, coming at it from that standpoint, also, I'm sure, although at that age, I would not have said that. At 42, looking back, I can say, okay, there were probably some areas that I was looking to identify myself as a man as well and have that confidence that weightlifting and training helped to contribute ultimately to building that. And then, from there, it's like, then it becomes something that you start to set goals. How much can I bench? How much can I squat? This and that. And you just start to kind of it just becomes a part of your life, once it becomes a habit. And that's what ultimately would end up being is a habit and a part of my life.
Oh, I see.
Mhm.
So I guess it wasn't like any big event happening. You kind of took things one at a time, and it just happened that way, and you just shifted, I guess, gradually.
Yes,
So
yes.
um, I mean, I saw my friend from a skinniest person to a person that looks like you, and I always wonder what happened, because I mean my goal is not to become big, but I mean I do exercise, I do lift weights, I do cardio one day, the next day I work out, like do the push-ups and pull-ups and all these things. And do I always have to feel pressure to become bigger to be healthy? Because my friend that is very fit always said, you're already fit, you don't have to worry about it. But the thing is, I keep constantly hearing, you're so skinny, are you eating? You're losing weight all the time, what's going on with you? But the thing is, I'm always eating healthy, I am exercising, I am enjoying my life. What did you say there? What did you say?
I think you gave yourself the answer, really. You said, I'm already enjoying my life.
Yeah.
You sound like somebody who's happy with who he is. You're doing the things that really matter, I would say, long term, which is you're actually eating healthy. You're doing cardio. We need that great heart health as well. Cardio is not mentioned in the conversation as often as it should be, but it definitely is a part of the equation, and that is cardio. And so then the other aspect, as far as getting bigger, I mean, one thing I've learned in life is there's a critic always right around the corner. You know, there's always a critic. You could do, that's why I think there's a phrase is like the person who only has friends and no enemies is probably not standing for anything. They probably, have no opinion.
Yeah,
Because you're always going to end up having a critic. There's always going to be somebody that says you're too big, you're too small,
yeah.
you're this, you're that. So it's like, how do you feel, and what do you see, and what do you identify? And it sounds to me like you've identified that, hey, I'm happy enough. I'm working on my fitness, my health. You'll be good. And so, bigger is definitely not always healthier, and it's not even always stronger. It's not always, necessarily stronger. But once again, if that is somebody's goal, I certainly understand and know the methods to help them go about that, and accomplishing it. But it's not the primary focus with most people, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
So I guess skinny looking people don't always have to feel pressure to become bigger like everyone else to become healthier.
I would say so. I mean, that would definitely be my own assessment. Is you could say it's like the young man or young lady that is dealing with, and let's say anorexia.
Yeah.
And so, no matter what, they always look in the mirror. They always feel like they're overweight.
Yeah.
But like that's because now this is an extreme, but still, it's an unhealthy way of looking in the mirror and seeing yourself. So
Yeah.
so absolutely, there should be no pressure. There should be no pressure. If you decide to do it, it should be because this is what you see is going to benefit your life. And sure, if it makes you feel a little bit better to have, a bigger bicep, okay, go for it. But that should not be the end all of what health and fitness is, for sure. That's called aesthetics.
Yeah.
Aesthetics. That's what you look like.
Yeah.
And that's okay.
So, do you remember anyone that has sincerely expressed gratitude to you because it like totally changed that person's life as you were coaching that person? Do you remember any stories you can share anonymously?
You know, I I guess it's just more so little stories that add up every day.
Sure.
Most recently is a lady by the name, I won't say her name, but she has been a person who has always considered herself very strong. She runs a business where she goes to people's homes and they completely change the landscape, the greenery around the home and so forth. So she's physically moving, every day. She was doing fitness with somebody else for a while and feeling good that she was lifting more and more weight as time came along. But as she came into my life and I came into her life, she had reached a point where she was unable to use her shoulder, you know. Yeah. So on one hand, it looks like, okay, if you pull out the paper, it's like, oh, she's getting stronger, she's lifting more, she's doing well. But in reality, because of the fitness style that she was doing that was only pushing the number of how much she was lifting, she neglected to deal with the mobility and stability in her shoulder. And being that now she's in her 50s, it actually became a detriment to her.
Oh my.
Yeah, so now to actually work with her and build her shoulder back to full, full strength, and she can function. She can now do her work better all day with endurance. She can go out and have the fun that she enjoys doing and using her body. That's what she, over the last week when I actually saw her, that's what brought a smile to her face. That's what brought, yeah, that she had her shoulder back. She had returned back to her physical health and ability. I will say another is, running with people who they've never even done a pull up. And you'd be surprised at how good people feel. I'm talking about 70-year-old man happy that he had never done a pull up. And others, I would say, I think of a guy by the name of Chris I work with who's lost, I should have said the name, but anyway, there it is. There's a lot of Chris's out there. But, he's lost 100 pounds since I've been working with him. So, so there's major weight loss. So it's like maybe not one deep story, but
Sure,
it's just
sure.
many stories that just add up every day where people are experiencing results.
Wow, that sounds amazing. Because when you feel different, you are happier, and how you feel is based on what kind of hardware you actually possess, not how you just feel.
Right. Yeah, man, hey, I like that. Yeah, I like that. So
Yeah.
true.
So does that mean that lady had to undo the wrong way to exercise, and then she had to transform the way she was exercising?
Yeah, it's funny you say that. I find that to be a major key area, specifically for people that have been working out for a long time, is they have to unlearn. They have to unlearn some bad habits and the way that they actually use their body. And that's exactly what I had to drill in her mind to unlearn some of these bad, what I would call movement patterns. Movement patterns. It's just a habitual movement pattern that becomes unconscious. And so I had to teach her new ways to really move and use what we can just describe as alignment and form, correct alignment, biomechanics, for her body and form. And so by doing that, by getting back to the details and helping her to learn how to use her body correctly, that's exactly a major method that we followed.
So was she a person that was doing on her own, or was it because she followed a coach that was giving her the wrong information?
I would say for her it was both. It was
Okay.
both,
Wow.
Yeah, for her it was both. But I think what she often says is she just can't believe that the coach that she worked with for so many years never mentioned the things that I mentioned. She's like, I can't believe I'm just now learning this.
Wow.
So yeah.
When you go to the dentist, sometimes I complain or express my frustration to the dentist, and then the dentist would say, "It's okay. It's when you have cavities, I make money." Even though when he jokes, I get angry. So, do you see in the same industry where you see people are being deceptive but also making money at the same time, and you are trying to see that, there are things that should be redeemed or be you need to come up with a different way to really redeem the whole industry so that people can actually get what they actually need, not instead of being ripped off or something. Do you see that in your industry?
Man, that's another deep question that really strikes at the heart of personal training. And it's why in some circles and amongst many, it can carry a bad reputation or a negative reputation, is that there are people that are so deceptive and they're so hungry for just a quick dollar that, personal training at times has gotten a bad rep where it's like, I do have to redeem that. Okay, this is something worthy of value and investing. Is that, a personal trainer working with somebody in coaching, you should be just a step behind, but very close to a physical therapist. The same way that when a person goes to the physical therapist and they expect to get results and to, get stronger in these key areas, the personal trainer or coach should be right there along with it. But oftentimes, and this comes from a person who worked at the big box gyms, the corporate gyms at times. I saw the deceptive practices and being able to simply use your tongue and, manipulation and charisma to sell these packages to people, but ultimately not deliver the results. So yeah, it's always been a major mission of mine to deliver science-based and results-based results to redeem, yes, this industry, as well as to be sure that I'm a person of integrity and I'm looking for the long term. Like I have somebody who, I've been working for this guy going on 5 years now. That doesn't happen when you just deliver, not when you're deceptive. That happens when you're delivering quality, to people's life. So yeah, absolutely.
Wow, that sounds very good because when you know that this person is not just working for money, but this person is working for my optimal health for the long term, you know that you can trust that person and you feel
Yeah,
comforted knowing that there's such a person.
absolutely. Well, I appreciate that. Definitely pray to be that, kind of guy continually. And, anybody considering, this industry, and really I'll say any, what you got to understand is your reputation also follows you, as well as anybody who you happen to work with. Guess what? They have a network of people. They have a network of other people that if you deliver good service to them, they're going to go ahead and recommend you to the next person, along the way. So you definitely have to have the long-term strategy in mind, if you want to stay in this business. I just recently signed up for this thing called ATG for coaches, and it's the Athletic Truth Group. Because even though I've been doing this for 7 years, I have to stay on top of learning. I have to stay on top of working with the best coaches out there that are actually getting results themselves, but maybe they have 15, 20 years of experience, so that I can continue to learn, so that I'm also delivering up-to-date, quality, results-based training to people.
Mm. So how did you get started and how have you been getting customers and was it through the word of mouth and yeah.
Yeah, I'm not really a big marketer. Perhaps I could be a better marketer, but those are areas I want to work in, especially for my online training. Um, but I've definitely been a person to use leverage. And what I mean by that is when I first got into the personal training, everybody question is, are you going to work independent? Or are you going to work for somebody?
Uh,
And what they don't understand is like, especially if you're coming in with no experience, with no network, no clientele, and then you say, oh, I'm going to be an independent trainer, you literally have nothing to work with. And that was not the route that I decided to take. The route that I decided to take was to actually go work in some of these gyms, these places where people they're already there.
oh, I see.
Now I knew that along the way, I'll probably pick up one or two person just by word of mouth. I was going to pick up one or two here and there, but I knew that the bulk of my experience within the first or second year would come from connecting myself in partnership with these corporations, because now the benefit of that was, first off, I ended up training 10 to 20 people every day. Now, how much faster are you going to gain experience, which you can leverage? This is what people don't understand, is you can leverage experience. The faster you can get experience, the quicker you can leverage that to the next step that you're headed to. And so I just saw that as a way I could get rapid experience of working with people, rather than if I was completely independent, I have one, I have two, maybe I still have to work a part-time job, so on and so forth. But it reached a tipping point. It reached a tipping point for me. And that tipping point happened in especially my last place that I work with, and I won't say the name obviously, but I had a good handful of people that I was training independently. I had met them through various ways, through connections, through word of mouth. And sometimes when people just know that you're a trainer, that kind of opens up the door as well. So anyway, And then I'll be honest, the pandemic happened. And so when the pandemic happened, there was a major group of people that all of a sudden there was this void in their life. And I felt impressed. You know, like I said, I prayed. I felt impressed. I felt inspired that now was the time for me to move fully independent. And so I was able to leverage. What was I able to leverage? I was able to leverage my experience. I was able to leverage the fact that I had a network, and I was able to leverage my knowledge of media, social media. Better, by the way, I had a channel at the time on Instagram where I had 19,000 followers. Yeah, so I had a lot of people viewing my stories as well. So I was able to take at that precise moment and leverage into now I have three areas, you know, I have the online training, the one-on-one, and the group coaching to now be fully working independent. So that's the process. I use the process of leveraging, networking to get to doing where I'm at right now.
Wow, that's fantastic. So you used to work for somebody, but now you're on your own. You're your own boss.
Yes.
Wow,
Yes.
that's fantastic. So do you feel more liberated? Because that's how I feel right now. Used to working for a school, having my own business. People are coming to my house. So I feel I have more freedom, more independence. So do you feel happier, more fulfilled?
Oh, absolutely. You know, absolutely, I do. Each one has its own weight. You know, working for somebody
Yeah,
it can give you a sense
yeah,
of security.
yeah.
I say a sense because we know
Yeah.
there's really no security. You know, you can be let go from anywhere,
Yeah.
but it gives you a sense of security. It does give you some security, but it brings the stress of, you know, there's a lot of other personalities and people to
Yeah.
deal with.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There is in fact, you know, jealousy that's out there. There's obviously competition that's there.
Yeah.
There's control
Yeah,
of what you can say.
yeah.
If you're working with a particular brand, they have a certain product
Uh-huh.
that they want you to deliver.
Yeah.
So the product has to look
Uh-huh.
the part that they want, and it has to sound like the part that they want, and it has to give the information that they want.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of the limiting factor. So now where I'm at now, and then you know obviously you have a schedule that you have to follow that you agree on as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
So now you know have the weight of less security, but I also know that my security is directly connected to my work ethic. And so I have a work ethic that I started years ago. So as long as I'm on my work ethic, I'm good. But yes, I enjoy the freedom of some days I do, you know, get to kind of relax a little bit longer. Some days I'm like, you know, I can take a small detour to enjoy the sun when the sun comes out, just, you know, walk by the water out here or, you know, something like that, go for a short hike, maybe even shoot the basketball a little bit. I have the freedom to go spend some time with my son or daughter, you know, at times. And so, yes, I'm calling my shots and I'm able to build, you know, my brand here of Live by Design. It's like, you know, there comes a point when you reach a level of expertise, it's like, I'm giving all this value away to another company, but
Exactly.
you know, really, what if I took that same concept
Yeah.
and delivered that value into my own brand? And so that feels empowering and liberating for sure.
So this is the logo of your company?
Yes, here.
Oh.
So it stands for, so this DZN stands for the word design. So it's just taking that, instead of an S, I've got a Z, so design. And yeah, it's just something, you know, I decided to go with. And so it comes from the phrase live by design, live by choice, live by choice, not by chance. So live by design is really what it refers to. And so the whole concept is to not allow life, and especially our fitness and health goals, because that's what I do, but essentially not allow life to just happen to you by accident, but to be very proactive in what you're doing. You know, oftentimes, you know, we hear the sob stories that, oh, if just this was okay in my life, and if just this would happen in my life, everything would be good, right? But the live by design is more about taking authority and action to get to where we want to go, to do the things that we want to do, to feel the way we want to feel, to have the fitness. Is live by design, you know, live by choice, not by chance. Yeah.
It sounds so beautiful. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
Praise God, praise God. Glad to hear that.
Wow. So because many people feel like they're victims all the time, you know?
Correct.
But if you take ownership of your own life and make it beautiful, you can impact people positively, and it will inspire people.
Amen.
Wow, thank you
Yeah.
for making this time to be interviewed. And I have a last question. So my wife canvassed 8 summers, and I canvassed 2 summers. And personally, it was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life, and I don't think I would want to do that thing again. But it was shaping me like crazy. I was in the furnace every minute of it, and I was praying all day long, talking to people. So did that experience help you do the job that you're doing now? If so, and in what sense?
Man, you know, as you started to share that, bro, I started to go back to when I was like 19,
Really?
doing the same thing. And I remember during week two, man, I was broken. I was broken, you know, because it's like all my family was back on the West Coast. I chose a program that was on the East Coast,
Yeah,
which you can understand. You were very far from home,
exactly.
so I couldn't just, my family couldn't just show up and, you know, give me a pat on the back. It was just, it was all, so I remember shedding those tears, but I remember then like God giving me kind of a resolution to stick to the word, to stick to the plan, you know, and that this was a moment to like grow, like in here, you know what I'm saying? Like
That's
to have, you know, resolve and strength is like nothing comes by wishing for it.
That's
Nothing
true.
comes because you
That's
just
true.
have a good idea.
That's true.
And so yeah, man. So how did it go? It made me a person that, you know, I grit. You've ever heard of the word grit? It gave me grit.
Yeah.
It gave me grit. It gave me persistence. It helped me to not take a no personally, but to press through it. You know, it helped me to understand that you could get 20 no's, you know, but then that one yes, it makes all the difference.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that transferred tremendously over. But I'll say the other way, I do have to add this, that is what also really God, you know, the Lord told me was just like how much He can grow you from being in one position to another position. So here you have a guy at 19. I start off knocking on doors, but by the time I'm in my early 30s, I'm now the director of a conference of 2 states of people that do this, you know, that do the same thing. And so it was like I knew that I could apply the same thing to what I'm doing right now. Is if I just start small, stay the path, and move forward and leverage and make good decisions along the way and persist, that, you know, it would flip to being able to, and I'm not done yet. So that's why I say, you know, it's just going to continue to grow and be all that it can be. So yeah, that's what definitely came right into my experience, that I've been able to utilize here now.
Wow. So you did that more than 10 years.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Oh man, if I could just trace the history and show you who who I've worked with and who I've influenced and who's influenced me. I mean, you know, those were major times. You're talking about 1998.
Wow.
This is when the MAGA book programs really just got going. Like the modern day one, it was really when they had just got going, and you know, I was able to be a part of all that. And I just showed up, you know, as a newly baptized new Christian, you know, like I want to do evangelism and work my way through school. Went to this MegaBook program, and you know, it ended up having a major impact on my life. You know, just in how it developed my character, my grit, my ability to speak. You know, to persevere, consistency, and confidence and boldness. Really, yeah. And so from 19 till whenever I last worked in Georgia, which I think was 2012.
Wow.
Yeah, I was in MegaBook programs, and I did some stints in between. You know, I did teach at an academy for 2 years. I was a Bible teacher. Let's see what else. I was a Bible worker for a couple of years. So there was a few things that mixed in, but mostly that work. But I guess for me, you know, everybody's different. Is I was quickly moved into leadership, and I can see why because of how it's affected other aspects of my life. You know, from there.
Wow. I can't believe you stayed that long.
It's tough, huh? But so you know, to make it, you know, a little more palatable, you gotta understand, I wasn't still knocking on doors as much. You know, once you get into leadership,
Oh, that's
you
true.
train people.
Okay.
You know, it's not like I'm there all day. You know, instead I'm teaching other people to do
Oh,
it.
I see. I guess that's
Yeah.
a different dynamic.
Different dynamics for sure.
Okay. Wow. So this
Yeah.
lesson of starting small and staying there and staying beat up and staying patient and staying like growing vibrant and just let the furnace just burn you and just the fire continues and
Amen.
you're
Yeah.
refined.
All that.
So and I think that's the whole foundation that you have laid for the current business that you're running. And I mean, so wow, that's great. So 19,000 people that are following you in the Instagram, they came because of your workout program.
Yeah, I no longer have access to that page, as strange as this may seem.
Okay.
I now have just my new page, which I have less than 1,000 followers. It's
Okay.
coach.drew.fitness. That's the one I currently have that I use, coach.drew.fitness. But the other one was Drew Fitness Pro, Drew Fitness Pro.
Ah, okay.
And that was an era in my life where I was doing a lot more entertaining on Instagram. You know, if you know anything about freestyle calisthenics, I was doing freestyle calisthenics, doing 360s on bars, you know, competing in a few competitions,
Oh.
you know, focusing on the powerlifting, the bodybuilding, shirtless pictures, you know, all that stuff. You know,
Oh,
that,
I see.
so that was that era. And so one day, this was kind of weird to me. But I get a response from somebody who I'm going to start coaching. And at the bottom of her handle on her email, it says, "Be sure that what you're doing fits into the plan of God." It was something like that.
Oh.
And so I was like, oh, that's weird. I kind of didn't really want to be bothered with it at the time, to be perfectly honest. And so I go to sign on to my old Instagram profile, and it says I'm locked out. I was like, what? That's weird. How am I locked out? So to this day, and this was last April 2020, I've not been back on there. And so I started going out with this new one. And so what I kind of picked up from that is that I'm not so dependent on Instagram and how many followers, I have anymore. And in this new page, I focused more on my actual coaching. I focused more a little bit on where I'm at right now. So I try to point more towards the people, and I also try to point more towards education, and I don't spend that much time on there anymore. I would like to branch more so into having some YouTube videos that focus on coaching, similar to yourself. And then as far as the Instagram, just continue to highlight more so the education and the results that I'm getting with people, and not so much showing off my performance or showing off my body. That had its time. That was Drew. That was Drew. That was Drew Fitness Pro. Drew Fitness Pro. But now I'm in coach.drew.fitness. So yeah, I did have the 19,000 followers. But in the scheme of things, it's like, what influence, actual real influence, are you having in people's lives? Not a like. I could tell you all types of reasons why people get likes on Instagram, and most of them are not the highest of value. Most of them don't carry much integrity. So the question that I begin now taking in is, what actual impact on the world, on people, towards their long term am I actually having? And that's where my focus is now. So whether it's a lot of followers, whether it's a few followers, whether it's a lot of likes, whether it's a few likes, I'm always measuring now with, like, how many people really am I impacting towards greater health, greater fitness, wellness, maybe even a walk with God, because I do have those conversations with people as well. And that's where my emphasis is now. Beyond that, I want to leverage that and to just continue to grow and just expand, my life, and ultimately follow God's will and God's plan for me.
Oh, that sounds beautiful. I feel hearing from you, I just think that when we build other people up, they build us up. So I think it's a beautiful concept that our empowerment of other people will empower us. So
You're right.
That's what I learned. You're not just building up their body; you're building up their whole being.
Hey, yes.
So, wow, I learned so much from you. I just like remember seeing you and just feeling this vibe that, wow, he's healthy. Wow, he's happy. Wow, he looks good. And it's great that I got to catch up with you in how many years later? 12 years
It's been a
later.
minute, 12 years.
12 years later. Wow.
I do appreciate you reaching out, J-Well, and for the opportunity to reconnect and have this conversation today. I'm very blessed by it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm also very blessed. Hope I can call you up again in less than 10 years.
Hey, yeah, let's plan to do that. Let's say 5.
Sure. Let's 5 years later.
All right.
All right, thank you, Drew. I hope you again
Hey, thank
have a good
you.
evening and stay healthy until I see you again.
You the same, brother. God bless you.
You too.
All right, take care.
Bye bye.
Thanks. Bye.